Pay attention to the white service van pulling up to 4127 Oakmont Drive. It's 9:43 a.m. on Tuesday, March 14, 2023. The street is quiet, trees line both sides. Houses are well maintained. Lawns are mowed. The van belongs to Anderson Plumbing Services. The driver is alone. The house at 40127 is a single-story ranch, beige siding, black shutters. A basketball hoop stands in the driveway. Charge trucks cover the concrete. The mailbox has a small American flag decal.
The lawn needs mowing, but not urgently. Nothing about this property suggests what lies beneath it.
Plumber's name is Marcus Webb, 38 years old. He'd been running service calls in Riverside County for 11 years. Within 4 hours, Marcus Webb would refuse to return to the crawl space. Riverside County Sheriff's Department would send a tactical entry team into the home, and investigators would discover that 4127 Oakmont Drive had been hiding 3 women for 6 years, 4 years, and 19 months respectively. This was not a routine plumbing call. It was the end of a nightmare that had been unfolding in plain sight.
The call came in at 8:17 a.m. that morning.
The homeowner reported a persistent leak beneath the kitchen sink. Water damage was spreading to the floor. The voice on the phone was calm, polite. The dispatcher noted the address and assigned the job to Marcus Webb's route. Marcus arrived at 9:43 a.m. He parked in the driveway. He gathered his toolbox from the back of the van. He approached the front door. The homeowner answered on the second knock. David Brennan, 2 years old, divorced. He worked as a regional logistics coordinator for a freight company. He'd lived at 4127 Oakmont Drive for 9 years. Down there, plotting drunker's smile out there. And he stood in the doorway blocking the entrance slightly. Kitchen's this way. Marcus followed him inside. The house was dim. Curtains were drawn in the living room. The air smelled faintly of bleach and something else Marcus couldn't identify. The kitchen was dated but clean. Brennan gestured to the sink. Brennan said, "I tried tightening it myself. Made it worse." Marcus knelt and opened the cabinet beneath the sink. He examined the pipes with a flashlight. The connection was corroded. The leak was minor, but the cabinet floor was warped. Water had been present longer than a week. "I'll need to check the crawl space," Marcus said.
"See if there's damage to the main line," Brennan hesitated, "just for a moment."
Then he nodded. "Access is in the back bedroom," Brennan said. Marcus assumed the hesitation was embarrassment about the mess. Marcus was wrong. The crawl space entrance was a square hatch in the floor of the spare bedroom. The room was sparse, a folding chair, a desk with nothing on it. A hatch had a padlock. Brennan unlocked it without comment. "I'll wait up here," Brennan said. Marcus pulled the hatch open. Cool air rose from below. He clicked on his headlamp. He lowered himself through the opening. The crawl space was 4 feet high. Dirt floor, wooden support beams, typical for houses built in the 1980s. Marcus moved toward the area beneath the kitchen. His light swept across the foundation. He noticed the door 17 feet from the access point. It was set into a concrete wall that shouldn't have been there. The door was metal. Industrial hinges. A deadbolt on the outside. Bars stopped moving. He stared at the door.
"Crawl spaces don't have doors," he approached slowly.
The beam of his headlamp illuminated scratch marks around the handle, deep gouges in the metal. He pressed his ear to the door. He heard breathing. Marcus stepped back. His hand went to his phone. No signal. He was below ground. Dispatch to the access hatch. Fast. He climbed out. Brennan was standing in the hallway. "The problem?" Brennan asked. "Yeah," Marcus said. His voice was steady. "I need to grab something from the van."
"Take your time," Brennan said.
Marcus walked to the front door. He didn't run. He kept his pace normal. He stepped outside. He closed the door behind him. He walked to his van. He got inside. He locked the doors.
He called 911. "There's a locked room under the house," Marcus said when the dispatcher answered.
"Someone's inside. Send police." The dispatcher asked for the address. Marcus gave it. She asked him to stay on the line. Marcus watched the front door. Brennan didn't emerge. Marcus described what he'd seen. The metal door, the scratches, the breathing. "Units are en route," the dispatcher said. "ETA 6 minutes." Marcus waited. He kept his eyes on the house. At 10:04 a.m., 2 Riverside County Sheriff's cruisers turned onto Oakmont Drive. Marcus stepped out of his van. He flagged them down. Deputy Angela Reyes was first out of her vehicle, 29 years old, 5 years with the department. She approached Marcus with her hand near her sidearm. You the caller? She asked. Yes, Marcus said. He explained what he'd found. The hidden door, the breathing, the scratch marks. Deputy Reyes exchanged a glance with her partner, Deputy Michael Torres. Torres radioed for backup. Reyes approached the front door. She knocked. No answer. She knocked again. Louder. David Brennan stood in the entryway.
He looked confused. Can I help you? Brennan asked.
We received a call about a disturbance, Reyes said. Mind if we come in? What kind of disturbance? Brennan asked. Sir, step aside, Reyes said. Brennan did not step aside. He stood in the doorway. His hand gripped the doorframe. Do you have a warrant? Brennan asked. Torres stepped forward. He positioned himself at an angle. We have reason to believe someone is in distress on this property, Torres said. We're coming in. Brennan's jaw tightened. He didn't move. Reyes placed her hand on his shoulder. She applied pressure. Brennan stepped back. Reyes and Torres entered. 2 more deputies arrived. They secured the perimeter. Brennan was escorted to the front yard. He was not handcuffed. Not yet. Reyes and Torres moved to the back bedroom. They found the open hatch. Reyes looked down into the darkness. Riverside County Sheriff's Department, she called into the crawl space. If anyone's down there, identify yourself.
Silence.
Reyes descended. Torres followed. Their flashlights cut through the dark. They moved toward the location Marcus had described. They found the metal door. Torres approached it. He knocked. Sheriff's Department, he said. We're here to help. A voice came from behind the door. Female. Weak. Help, the voice said.
Torres tried the handle. Locked.
Hiding the car spotted at a vent in rate. A breaching tool. He waited. 3 minutes later, a deputy passed a bolt cutter down through the hatch. Torres positioned the cutter on the deadbolt.
He applied pressure. The bolt snapped.
Dirt open. The room was 8 feet by 10 feet. Concrete walls. A single mattress on the floor. A bucket in the corner. A woman sat on the mattress.
She was emaciated. Her hair was matted.
She held her hand up against the light. It's okay, Reyes said.
You're safe now. The woman didn't speak. She started to cry.
Reyes called for medical. She stepped into the room. The woman flinched. Reyes stopped. She knelt slowly. What's your name? Reyes asked. The woman's voice was barely audible. Sarah, she said. Sarah Mitchum. Sarah Mitchum had been missing for 6 years. Sarah Mitchum was transported to Riverside Community Hospital at 10:47 a.m. She was non-responsive to most questions. Paramedics noted severe malnutrition, dehydration, and signs of prolonged physical trauma. Her weight was 89 pounds. She should have weighed 135. Detective Raymond Costa arrived at 4127 Oakmont Drive at 11:15 a.m., 47 years old. 23 years with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. He specialized in missing persons cases. He'd worked Sarah Mitchum's disappearance in 2017. Costa stood in the front yard. He watched as crime scene technicians carried equipment into the house. David Brennan sat in the back of a patrol car. He hadn't asked for a lawyer yet. He hadn't said anything. Costa descended into the crawl space. The concrete was professionally poured. The door was heavy-gauge steel. Soundproofing material lined the ceiling. This wasn't improvised. This was engineered. Costa noticed a second door, 20 feet east of the first room. Same construction, same deadbolt. He approached it. He knocked. Sheriff's Department, Costa said. A voice answered. Different woman, younger. Is he gone? The voice asked. Yes, Costa said. He's gone. Are you sure? The voice asked. I'm sure, Costa said. The bolt cutter was still nearby. Costa cut the lock. Down to, he opened the door. The second room was identical to the first. Same dimensions, same mattress, same bucket. A woman sat against the far wall. She was younger than Sarah, early 20s. Her eyes were wide. What's your name? Costa asked. Rebecca, she said. Rebecca Huang. Rebecca Huang had been missing for 4 years. Costa called for a second ambulance. He radioed the team above. He told them to expand the search. He moved deeper into the crawl space. His flashlight revealed a third door. He didn't knock this time. He cut the lock immediately. He pulled the door open.
A girl sat on the mattress.
She looked 16, maybe younger. She held a blanket to her chest. It's okay, Costa said.
You're safe. The girl stared at him. She didn't speak.
What's your name? Costa asked. The girl hesitated. Mia, she said finally. Mia Torres. Mia Torres had been missing for 19 months. By 2 p.m., all 3 women had been transported to Riverside Community Hospital. A forensic team processed the crawl space.
They documented each room, they collected DNA evidence.
Or samples, clothing fibers. They found notebooks, journals written by the women, dates, names.
Descriptions of what had been done to them. They found a laptop in Brennan's bedroom.
The forensic analyst was a woman named Jennifer Park, 34 years old. She'd been analyzing digital evidence for 6 years. She powered on the laptop. It required a password. Park used a bypass tool. The desktop appeared. She opened the file directory. She found a folder labeled Records. She opened it. The folder contained 247 video files. Park watched the first file for 14 seconds. She stopped playback. She flagged the folder for evidentiary seizure. She called Detective Costa. "You need to see this," she said. Costa reviewed the file metadata. Each video was time-stamped. The earliest was dated April 2017, 2 months of feeder Sarah Mitchum's disappearance. The most recent was dated March 13, 2023, the day before Marcus Webb's service call. The videos showed the interior of the hidden rooms. They showed the women. They showed Brennan. Costa watched enough to confirm what he already knew. Then he stopped. "How many?" Costa asked. 247, Park said. "Log every file," Costa said. "I want dates, durations, everything." Park nodded. She began the catalog. David Brennan was processed at the Riverside County Jail at 4:30 p.m. He was charged with 3 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of unlawful imprisonment, multiple counts of sexual assault. The charges would expand. Detectives interviewed Sarah Mitchum first. She was stable enough to speak by 6 p.m. She sat in a hospital bed. A victim advocate sat beside her. Detective Costa sat across from her. He asked her to describe what happened. Sarah spoke slowly. Her voice was hoarse. Home from her job at a coffee shop on April 8, 2017. It was evening. A man offered her a ride. She declined. He insisted. She declined again. He grabbed her. He forced her into his van. He drove her to a house. He took her underground. He locked her in a room. "Did you ever see daylight a feeder that?" Costa asked. "No," Sarah said.
Did he ever let you out of the room?
"Once a week," Sarah said.
To shower?
He watched. "Did anyone else know you were there?" "No." Sarah described 6 years of captivity. Brennan brought food irregularly, sometimes once a day, sometimes once every 3 days. He controlled everything, the light, the water. When she could speak, when she had to be silent, Costa asked if she knew about the other women. "I heard them," Sarah said. "Through the walls. I heard crying. I heard doors opening and closing. I didn't know their names." "Did you try to escape?" Sarah looked at her hands. The nails were broken. Fingertips scarred. "Yes," she said. "What happened?" He welded the door shut from the outside. A feeder the first time. Costa made notes. He asked Sarah if she remembered anything else. She described Brennan's schedule. Approaching memories of an hour ago. He descended at 7 p.m. He stayed for an hour, sometimes longer, sometimes longer. He left footsteps above her. She heard television. She heard nothing else. Minutes. Costa thanked Sarah. He told her she was safe. She nodded. A co-venture Rebecca Huang's interview began at 8:15 p.m. She was calmer than Sarah.
More articulate.
She'd been taken on February 22nd, 2019.
A method. Walking alone. South Carolina. Forced entry.
Underground. Rebecca was a nursing student.
24 years old. She'd been studying at UC Riverside, outside Greenfield, South Carolina, a rural corridor between. She had a 3.8 GPA. She ran track. She volunteered at a free clinic. She texted her mother every night. Her last text was sent at 9:42 p.m. on February 22nd, 2019. It read, "Love you. See you tomorrow." Her mother, Lin Huang, reported her missing at 11 a.m. the next day. Search teams canvassed the campus. Flyers were posted. 6 months. Rebecca described 4 years in the second room. Same routine, same isolation. She tried to keep track of time. She marked days on the wall with her fingernail. Ainge counted 1,476 marks. "Did he ever say why he took you?" Costa asked. "No," Rebecca said. "Did he ever talk to you?" "Sometimes." He asked questions. What I was thinking. What I wanted. I learned not to answer. Why? It made him angry. Rebecca's hands trembled as she spoke. She folded them in her lap. The victim advocate placed a hand on her shoulder. Costa asked about escape attempts. Rebecca described digging at the concrete with a piece of broken plastic. The floor, the walls, nothing worked. She stopped to feed her a year. "Did you think anyone would find you?" Costa asked. Rebecca's voice cracked. "Oh," she said. Mia Torres was the youngest. The nearest common sense of hard news, and 15 when she disappeared. Day. She'd been walking home from a friend's house on August 9, 2021. A man in a van asked for directions. She approached the window to help. He grabbed her. Mia was a sophomore at Riverside Polytechnic High School. She played clarinet in the band. She was on the honor roll. She wanted to be a veterinarian. Her parents, Robert and Claudia Torres, were immigrants from Guatemala. They owned a small bakery. Mia helped out on weekends. She loved animals. She had a dog named Copper. Her last Instagram post was a photo of Copper. The caption read, "Best boy." Mia described 19 months underground. She cried throughout the interview. She kept asking if her parents knew she was alive. Costa assured her they did. He'd called them himself. They were on their way to the hospital. Mia's interview was shorter. She was exhausted and traumatized. Costa didn't push. South. Mia confirmed the same pattern. Same isolation. Same fear. "Did you ever hear the other women?" Costa asked. "Yes," Mia said. "I heard someone crying once. I tried to talk through the wall. But he heard me. He didn't come down for 5 days of feed or that. I thought I was going to die." Mia's mother arrived at 9:30 p.m. She ran into the room. She collapsed beside Mia's bed. She held her daughter. She sobbed. Mia sobbed with her. Costa stepped out. He let them have the moment. The forensic analysis of Brennan's laptop took 6 days. Jennifer Park cataloged every file. She cross-referenced timestamps with known disappearance dates. She found patterns. Brennan had recorded himself entering the rooms. He documented every interaction. The videos were time-stamped. They showed Sarah, Rebecca, and Mia in various states of distress. Park identified 89 videos featuring Sarah, 76 featuring Rebecca, 82 featuring Mia. She also found search histories. Brennan had researched soundproofing materials, concrete mixing ratios, human caloric requirements, missing persons databases. He'd been planning this for years. Park discovered evidence of surveillance. Brennan had installed cameras in the crawl space. Roken starred. He monitored the women remotely. He watched them when he wasn't home, controlled when the lights turned on, when they turned off. After, the laptop also contained files related to 3 additional women, names, photos, addresses. They were all local, all in their 20s. All lived alone. Park flagged the names for Costa.
He dispatched units immediately. All 3 women were contacted.
All 3 were alive, unharmed. They were warned. Protective details were assigned. Brennan had been planning to expand. The case expanded further when investigators searched Brennan's work van. The van was a 2018 Ford Transit, white. No windows in the rear. Inside they found zip ties, duct tape, a taser, chloroforms, a tarp. They also found a notebook, handwritten entries, dates, times, rows, descriptions of women he'd observed, where they worked, where they lived, their routines. There were 17 names in the notebook. Sarah, Rebecca, and Mia were among them. The other 14 were unaccounted for. Detective Costa assembled a task force. Danes. 3 had moved out of state. Third was dead 14 minutes. 7 were located within 2 weeks. All were alive. All were shocked. Costa interviewed each one. He asked if they'd ever noticed anything unusual. A man following them. A van. Anything. 6 of them said yes. One woman, Jennifer Alcott, described a white van that had parked outside her apartment for 3 consecutive nights in 2020. She'd reported it to building security. The van Lafitte, she never saw it again. Another woman, Keisha Brown, described a man who'd asked her for directions near her workplace. She'd felt uncomfortable. She'd walked away quickly. She later saw the same man in a grocery store parking lot. She reported it to police. Avon Day, 2017. The pattern was clear. Brennan had been stalking potential victims for years. He'd been methodical, patient. He'd waited for the right moment. He'd succeeded 3 times. He'd been interrupted before number 4. David Brennan's arraignment took place on March 28, 2023, at the Riverside County Superior Court. The courtroom was packed. Victims' families sat in the front row. Sarah's mother, Patricia Mitchum, sat beside Rebecca's parents, Lynn and David Huang. Bia's parents sat together holding hands. Brennan entered in an orange jumpsuit, shackles on his wrists and ankles. He stared straight ahead. Our team, the charges were read. 3 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of false imprisonment, 9 counts of aggravated sexual assault, 3 counts of torture. The list continued. 27 charges in total. Brennan pled not guilty. His attorney, a public defender named Mark Stevens, argued that Brennan's mental state should be evaluated. You requested a psychiatric assessment. The judge granted it. Brennan was remanded without bail. The trial was set for September 2023. A psychiatric evaluation took 6 weeks. Dr. Evelyn Martinez conducted the assessment. She was a forensic psychologist with 20 years of experience. She interviewed Brennan for 12 hours over the course of 2 weeks. Her report was filed on May 15, 2023. It concluded that Brennan was competent to stand trial. He understood the charges. He understood the legal process. He showed no signs of psychosis or delusional thinking. The report also noted a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. Brennan demonstrated a lack of empathy, a pattern of manipulative behavior, no remorse for his actions. Connections were premeditated and methodical. He understood the consequences of his behavior. Regardless, the defense attempted to suppress the report. The motion was denied. The trial began on September 11, 2023.
Prosecution was led by Deputy District Attorney Maria Cordero.
She'd prosecuted violent crimes for 15 years. She had a conviction rate of 87%. Cordero's opening statement lasted 18 minutes. She described the scope of Brennan's crimes. She outlined the evidence, the hidden rooms, the journals, the videos. This was not a crime of passion, Cordero said.
This was a systematic campaign of terror. David Brennan built a prison beneath his home.
He kidnapped 3 women. Updatonius person asks for a Submount 9-Dage present. Best call now.
A re-recorded it, and he planned to do it again.
The defense's opening statement lasted 7 minutes. Stevens argued that the evidence was circumstantial. The videos were ambiguous. The journals could have been fabricated.
The women's testimony was unreliable due to trauma. The jury looked unconvinced.
The prosecution called Sarah Mitchum to the stand on September 14th. She walked slowly to the witness box. Her mother accompanied her to the courtroom door. Sarah wore a simple black dress. Her hair was tied back. She looked fragile. Cordero asked Sarah to describe what happened on April 8, 2017. Sarah's voice was steady at first. She described the abduction, the van,
the crawl space, the locked door.
Cordero asked her to describe the conditions of her captivity. Sarah's voice wavered. She described the mattress, the bucket, darkness. She described 6 years without sunlight. Corridor between 6 years without freedom. Cordero paused. She let the silence settle. Then she asked the final question. Sarah looked directly at Brennan. He stared back. His face was blank. Sarah's voice broke. "He took my life," she said. The courtroom was silent. Rebecca Huang testified on September 18th. She described her abduction in 2019. Dodge 4 years in the second room. She spoke clearly, methodically. She recounted specific dates, specific incidents. She described the sound of the other women crying through the walls. Cordero asked Rebecca how she survived. "I told myself someone would find us," Rebecca said. "I told myself every day, even when I didn't believe it." Rebecca's testimony lasted 2 hours. The defense declined to cross-examine. Mia Torres testified on September 20th. She was 18 now. She'd spent her 17th birthday in captivity. She described being taken. She described 19 months underground. She described the fear. Cordero asked Mia what she wanted the jury to know. Mia looked at the jury. 12 faces stared back. "I was 15, Mia said. "I was a kid."
He took my childhood. The jury deliberated for 4 hours.
They returned a verdict of guilty on all 27 counts. Sentencing took place on October 9th, 2023. Judge Harold Simmons presided. He listened to victim impact statements.
Sarah spoke first.
Then Rebecca, then Mia. Each described what they'd lost. Each described what they'd survived. Judge Simmons sentenced David Brennan to 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. Additional sentences for the other charges totaled 147 years. Brennan showed no reaction. He was escorted out of the courtroom. He didn't look back. Sarah Mitchum lives in Northern California now. She asked that her exact location not be disclosed. She works remotely as a graphic designer.
She's in therapy twice a week. She adopted a cat.
She's learning to sleep without nightmares. It's slow progress. Her mother Patricia visits once a month. They don't talk about the trial. They talk about Brennan. They talk about the future. Rebecca Huang returned to UC Riverside in January 2024. She's finishing her nursing degree. She's 2 semesters behind her original class. She doesn't mind. She volunteers at a crisis center for trafficking survivors. She says helping others helps her. Her parents moved closer to campus. They see her every weekend. They don't let her out of their sight for long. Mia Torres graduated from Riverside Polytechnic High School in June 2024. Corroborate. She talked about resilience. Everyone knew anyway. She's attending community college. She's still planning to be a veterinarian. She still has Copper. He's older now. He sleeps beside her bed every night. Her parents closed the bakery. They couldn't focus on work. They sold it to a former employee. They spend their time with Mia now. They're rebuilding. California passed Senate Bill 847, the Sarah Mitchum Act, down in the city. It requires landlords to inspect rental properties for concealed rooms or structures. It mandates that building permits for residential renovations involving below-ground construction be flagged for additional review. It establishes a database for structural anomalies detected during home inspections. The law doesn't prevent all crimes, but it closes a gap. Marcus Webb still works for Anderson Plumbing Services. It doesn't take calls on Oakmont Drive anymore. He transferred his route. Her backyard, Marcus thinks about what he found. He thinks about what would have happened if the leak had been in a different room, if the homeowner had fixed it himself. If Marcus had ignored the door, he doesn't think about it for long. It doesn't help. The house at 4127 Oakmont Drive sits empty now. The property was seized by the county. It was auctioned in early 2024. A developer bought it. Plans were filed to demolish the structure and build new townhomes. Neighbors supported the decision. No one wanted the house to remain. It was a scar, a reminder. Demolition was scheduled for May 2024. Before the crew arrived, the county sent a team to seal the crawl space. They filled the hidden rooms with concrete. They sealed the access hatch. They wanted to ensure nothing remained. The demolition took 3 days. The house was reduced to rubble. The foundation was excavated. Dirt was hauled away. The lot was graded flat. By summer, the lot was empty. Grass seed was spread. A chain link fence surrounds the perimeter. A sign reads, "Future site of Oakmont residences." Children still play on the street. Parents walk their dogs. Life continues. But the neighbors remember. They check their locks twice now.
They look at their basements differently. They wonder what else might be hidden.
What else they missed. And sometimes late at night, they hear sounds that aren't there. Sounds from below.